So I thought I'd dig up something, kind of break up the current space bucks and Dwarf Fortress monotony. No, not monotony. The scheduling. Yeah, that's it. So I thought I'd dig up some more games from the essentially the same kind of period. Uh, Around the same time that I was playing, not Dwarf Fortress Space Bucks. And some of the other Sierra games. This particular title was also in that mix of various titles that I was playing. Which again, a lot of them were from Sierra, from what I find out. Sierra, or a company owned by Sierra. And I wouldn't say this got me started in like the virtual pinball or the game tables, but it was definitely something that kind of brought me further into the fold. It kind of got me out of the epic pinball, that smaller scale, real focused table, to something that's much more wide open, much more sort of a more complex table. Not only in looks, but in like the actual development of the table. I originally had this on a state-of-the-art Packard Bell, a 50 megahertz machine that had a whopping 4 megabytes of RAM. The only problem was that this particular title required 8 megabytes of RAM. So when we tried playing it, it ran about twice as slow as what you're seeing here. So it was hard to play at best back then, but I still played it anyway. The issue was, of course, that at the time, 4 megabytes of RAM cost a good $100+, so it wasn't something that we jumped on purchasing just for a pinball machine. Eventually, the price of RAM came down, and we eventually picked up said 4 megabytes, but we tried some software that was supposed to increase your RAM somehow by magic, I guess, which did very little to help. It supposedly got us up to like 6 megabytes of RAM, but it was a trick, little a ruse at best, and it was kind of funny how you'd try any little software trick for $20 as opposed to spending $100+ on the hardware back then. Of course, they sold that kind of stuff to people who didn't really understand computers as well as most people, or people in the know. But anyway, getting back to the actual game at hand, the physics themselves are pretty good. The table, the only real gripe I would have with it is that the tables on the periphery, the left and right, especially the ones on the right, seem to do it the worst. But they have this tendency to have little clipping issues, and it looks like the ball's actually going through the pedal or the flipper. I think it has something to do with the way that the table is kind of faced. Just the way that it comes across makes it look a little off. I think it's all perspective, but I don't know. It's something you'll notice it occasionally if you're playing the game long enough. That especially the table on the right side, occasionally that right flipper looks like the ball will pass through the tip of the flipper, but Other than that, the only real big gripe is that sometimes the kicker lanes on the left and right will kick the balls up out of the lane, but they will somehow like bounce back down into the kicker lane, and you'll still end up losing the ball. Very odd sometimes. But then again, I can almost guarantee that that's happened on a real table at some point. Otherwise, sound effects are good, the music's good, although I don't have it playing because of a particular bug issue. I will put a link down below for where you can pick up this particular game. There's also some other pinball titles in this same vein that work on newer systems. Like I said, I had this one. A buddy of mine had I think it's like Creep Night, horror-themed pinball tables. There was also a amusement park variety and a jungle slash dinosaur one, I think. Not entirely 100% on that last one. But the cool thing about this particular, the one thing that really made me want to come back to playing it again, was the fact that not only could you go between the three tables, and I'm kind of aiming for that thing right now, that's right between the P and the O, to try to show that off, but you could also develop the table itself, and it gave you these options like this, like you build the mine, or you can build a agricultural pod, or whatever. What those let you do is they let you develop the score of the table, the output score. It also gives you continues. I'll explain continues in a moment. But these buildings that you could put up actually, increased your score output. It gave you more little bonus games. It gave you little, points for hitting certain slot X amount of times, that kind of thing. The tables let you carry those things over from table to table. I think the only real shortcoming on this is the fact that they didn't let you manipulate other tables that you're not playing, so that maybe that would give you a reason to go to X table. But the real thing is that when you combine that with the continues didn't let you keep the score, but they let you keep the table development. So it lets you keep all the buildings, all those sorts of effects that you've already put into play, and lets you start essentially a new game with those in play, so that you could potentially score the same amount on the first ball that you were on the fourth and fifth balls on the previous playthrough, the previous game. And like I said, I kind of wish they carried it over. I want to try Trophy Bass from Sierra Online. Had they carried it over between the tables and let you kind of push towards developing the other tables, I think it would have given you more reason to jump around more. As it were, really the only big reason to change tables is to show them off, or because you kind of, maybe you get tired of X table, you want to go to a new one. But that's kind of what the big draw for this game was, for me at least. And I mean, you could get some really big scores by being able to carry over those continues, and by essentially just kind of focusing on developing those tables up. Now, like I said, the problem was that if you developed one table up, you didn't really want to jump away because it was so much easier to set on the developed table and score points, as opposed to go to a new table and start from scratch. I think the only real complaint with the tables themselves are that some of them are really cluttered. Like this one in particular has a lot of targets to hit, but at the same time, I kind of would prefer having too many targets as opposed to too few. I mean, if your field only has a couple of targets to hit, it makes it kind of bland and repetitive quicker. This one, it kind of makes it harder to hit skill shots because there's a lot more stuff to hit, but I guess it kind of helps you develop skill better, or gives you more to focus on with those said skill shots. But again, I just kind of really enjoyed these particular tables when I was younger. It was like it felt like a big step up from the epic Mega Games pinball tables. Something like the Alien Crush, like that sort of stuff. Alien Crush and Devil Crush. Not epic, but I mean, the same sort of feel to it. I mean, it just felt like this totally different thing, especially when you're comparing what is like 3D rendered graphics to the flat 2D pixel drawings. But I mean, done well, you can still kind of say that well, some of those 2D tables are just as good, or if not better. And you get into arguing over semantics, and then suffice to say, they're all fun. They're just different, and I think that's kind of what got me, is that it was just different from the other tables.
Strike or hopper now.
So yeah, at some point I would like to actually check out a few more other Sierra titles and get them in here as well. But I'm still on the hunt for those. So we'll keep on searching and fixing this weird window bug that keeps moving the window out of the actual game window. Anyway, until next time, folks, have a good one.